PayPal is such a force. It's such a force in the payments industry all throughout the world. And yet PayPal, as big as it is, $600 billion in payments processed on PayPal for the last year. It is less than 1% of its addressable market.
Welcome to the My Future Business Show, where we get you in front of your best audience and keep you there. Not only are we interviewing the biggest names in business to help you become even more successful, we're inviting you to book your spot on the show to help you grow your business. So at the end of the call, make sure you fill in the interview application form at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews. Hi and welcome to the My Future Business Show. My name is Rick Nusky, and if you've been here before, you'll know that I'm your host, and it's an absolute pleasure to be in a position to be that person to talk with some absolutely amazing people. And my next guest today is Brian Nichols. He's from the HADE group. How are you, Brian?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Now, I understand that you're the CEO and president of HADEPAY, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. But before we do that, I often give my guests the opportunity just to share a little bit about themselves with our audience. Where are you based, and what do you love doing outside of the work sphere?
So I live in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, other than working, I have two small boys that I spend most of my time with, and we go to football games and different sporting events as a family, and that's pretty much what we spend my days off doing.
I've got two young boys myself, and I can see that when there's not much downtime, oftentimes those are the most valuable times, aren't they? Spending them with your kids.
They really are. They grow up so fast.
And I often think, Brian, about my kids when I think about investment, and that's going to be a real thrust of today's call. Now, why is it, do you think, important for people to be investing?
Well, investing is to think about the future. Depending on where you live, if you're in the United States, Social Security doesn't go too far. So it's about preparing yourself for what's to come in the future when you're unable to earn income. Most of us don't live to be like Warren Buffett, 90 years old and good mental health and able to continue to produce income at such age. So we like to spend our last couple decades, if you will, enjoying life, not stressing about life.
You often, I know I do at least, is think about my children and how I can also set them up for their futures. Is that important for you?
It is. I certainly try to think of, we embrace technology. Mm-hmm. We were from artificial intelligence with HADE platform, and then over even to HADEPAY, blockchain based, and we've embraced every technology in the payments financial spaces there is. So we've embraced the newest technologies, and certainly thinking about the generation that's upcoming and where business and where the economy and where people are going. Mm-hmm. How are they going to spend money? How do they make money? It's becoming more and more of a mobile future, and people want information faster and faster. So it's you got to try to keep up with that.
And there seems to be this reversal of the tides, if you will, in terms of having that control over one's assets, including their finances. How does the future look for cryptocurrencies and that sort of things, given the turmoil associated with the American dollar at the moment?
What's funny about this, Rick, is that had you asked me just 18 months ago, mm-hmm. about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, I would have known very little about it. Very little. We actually started accepting it as a payment with HADE platform because we had customers in various states, even in the US, we had finance professionals and advisors who were using our platform for research and investment ideas, or to visualize data, or to produce research reports. It became a risk for them professionally. Their firms had contracts and technology that they wanted them to use. So we started accepting Bitcoin as just an added currency, an added option for the payment solutions that we were using. We never thought it would really do much or that it would be impactful, but what it's done is it's allowed us to not only serve that market that we already had, but also it's made it very easy internationally. And even in industries where you have, if maybe you're making a jewelry purchase for your wife, you don't want it to show up on the credit card or something of that nature.
Yeah.
There's so many reasons why somebody would use Bitcoin or even an Ethereum or one of these cryptocurrencies that have value, and now they have liquidity.
Yeah.
Which thereby means they have, they're still volatile, but they have enough liquidity now where you can actually finally get them into commerce. And I think that's powerful, especially as you referenced, when you look at the historical value of the US dollar, even since 1900 and how much it's declined, the purchase power.
It's going to be a very different looking financial environment, isn't it?
It is. And I don't think that it would ever replace the US dollar. I don't think it would ever replace the euro or any, government-backed fiat currency, but there's certainly a place for it. There's a place for it. And if that place is even remotely close to the place of gold or the actual usage of gold, and you think about it, when's the last time you pumped gas with a gold bar or you paid your mortgage with gold?
Never.
So you're talking about an asset class that could appreciate tremendously in value over the course of 5 to 10 years as it enters commerce. And in my opinion, as a Wall Street guy, someone who's written investment books, from McGraw-Hill, and has spent my whole career in the depths of the stock market trying to identify value. I do believe it's the best value I've seen, or at least in this market right now. I don't believe anything comes close.
There is that take-up that I've been observing through previous conversations that I've had. And, if you look at people who are using trading platforms, of which there are several, there is that volatility there. But what I take out of all of this, Brian, is that there's also choice. We are now looking cryptocurrency as a choice, as an alternative to trade values for services, products, and so forth. How does one choose what the best cryptocurrency would be for them if they want to use something like HADEPAY? Is there guidance on that?
With HADEPAY, we let the merchant decide what they want to accept, and then the consumer decides what they want to pay with.
Right.
So it's not really a focus of what do we expect is going to stand the test of time, as much as, with HADEPAY, there's so many payment applications out there in the world. There's, you've got PayPal, Stripe, Venmo, Square, dozens more, and those are just prevalent in the U.S.
Yeah.
And then you've got cryptocurrencies on top of that. And what HADEPAY does is it consolidates all of these different payment applications, payment services like wire transfers, ACH, and even cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum. And it puts them all into one solution, one application, so that businesses, merchants can decide which ones they accept, and then they can integrate it onto their website, their application, and their consumers, their users can decide which payment, how they want to pay them. And the business can then manage all of those transactions and all of the customers in one place. So it's a consolidation of payment applications and payment services all into one kind of seamless technology. There's so many cryptocurrencies out there. And honestly, I would be shocked if more than, I would say, probably 5 or 6 or less that we will actually use in real life payments 10 years from now. Your Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, or even like an EOS. But then there's a handful more that, have a usage in a platform that's big enough to sustain that usage. But, most of these are going to dwindle away and die, and the market's going to consolidate it, and just cream's going to rise to the top. And when that happens, is when, you see the values of these different currencies that do survive.
Let's talk a little bit about a scenario. I'd love to meld the idea of I'm an investor and I'm looking at the HADE platform, which is you can find at hadeplatform.com, and I'm looking at some of the searches that are being done, and I want to invest in, let's just say it's Apple, and I want to use the HADEPay system to buy shares in Apple. Is that what the HADEPay system can help me do? Is that how it works?
No, it's not. I'll explain to you kind of how it came about. It was, HADE platform is, it's a database.
Right.
And then we apply artificial intelligence around that database to analyze the data and produce outcomes in ways that aren't obvious,
Yep.
that aren't clear to the naked eye. So one example of that can be we do earning predictions from AI, predicting quarterly results every 3 months. We've done that for the past 3 years, and we're 64% more accurate than Wall Street consensus estimates. Stock picks that go into the portfolio, the HADE portfolio, have done 250% greater than the S&P 500 since 2015. And then we have real-time investment stock grades from artificial intelligence. We have risk analysis. There's so many different products that come through. And the question I always get is, well, how does that happen? How is it possible that it performs so well?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a gimmick. It's quite simple. We collect all of the data on all different companies that nobody else collects, the nitty-gritty stuff.
Yeah.
So if we're looking at, MGM, we're looking at casino revenue, we're looking at beverage revenue, we're looking at their average night occupancy rates. We're looking at all of these little minute details of a company.
Yeah.
And all companies. And from all these little tiny details, we use AI to find connections, to find areas where, it's automated. We use AI to find all of these different connections to produce then outcomes. Now, like I said, where HADEPay came in,
mm-hmm.
is that our business was growing steadily. We were approached by, VC and, different firms many times. We turned it down because we didn't really have the leeway in a business like HADE platform to make it worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell entrepreneurs that all the time. If your business doesn't have the leeway, doesn't have the runway, don't go after VC, because it's a pain to deal with other owners, new owners, and it's just not worth it. But going back, so we had a situation where we ran into problems like a lot of small businesses do. And that is, we had some of our billings were on Stripe. Some of our billings were through our gateway provider. Some of our billings came into Bitcoin. Some we were doing on PayPal. We even started doing some on Venmo. We had all these different billings and payments from all these different places.
Yeah.
And we had customers, on all these different payment apps, and it became a real headache. So we created HADEPay, which was, we consolidated them into a single solution so we could manage all the customers, we could manage all the transactions, we could simplify it so that a customer could pay on PayPal 1 month or Stripe the next or Bitcoin the month after that. And we found that it was very easy to add new solutions, and also the software itself could be integrated into any web or mobile application with a single line of code. Mm-hmm. So we saw an opportunity to say, let's break this away from HADE platform and let's make this a standalone company, because it has a ceiling that what we're doing at HADE platform could never compare to. And that's what's led us to our current state, where we still have HADE platform. It operates as an analytics, investment research, stock picks and ideas, does very well.
Mm.
But we also have HADEPay now as a startup that's market ready, performing well, and bringing on merchants and such.
If somebody wants to set up with HADEPay, is that a difficult thing to do? How does that come about?
Oh, it's super simple. They would just go to the website, log in, and then link all of their existing payment applications and payment or cryptocurrencies that they accept. They would link, any gateway that they're using, and then they would From there, then they could start requesting payments from their friends, families, or, if they do direct sales or some type of other business, to their customers. And their customers can decide how they want to pay them. They could pay them with Apple Pay, Android Pay, Amazon Pay, PayPal, all these different pays that are out there. They can decide, the person decides, what do I accept? And the customer decides, how do I want to pay?
So where can you see HADEPAY going in the future? Is this something that will expand to other places? How does the development process behind HADEPAY come about?
Well, I split it from HADE platform because I had an ambitious goal. My goal for HADEPAY is that I want it to become a multi-billion-dollar business, and it's a personal goal, but it's a very achievable goal, we believe. Like I said, HADE platform with the analytics, it never really had the peak. It grew to a nice size business. It's still growing, but it doesn't have that reach to become a massive state. Payments are everywhere. It's something we do all the time. This will blow people away. PayPal is such a force. It's such a force in the payments industry all throughout the world. And yet PayPal, as big as it is, $600 billion in payments processed on PayPal for the last year. Massive. It is less than 1% of its addressable market. Less than 1% of a $110 trillion market. When you look at e-commerce, in-store, web payments, person-to-person, it's mind-boggling. It's insane. And something else I tell entrepreneurs or even investors, I'm a big fan in modeling the activities that make you money out of someone else who's also done it before you. And by that, like when I was an investor, I really studied Warren Buffett. I always studied Warren Buffett. It was intriguing to me. And as a business, as an entrepreneur, I always studied Bradley Jacobs. Now he's not a name that people know when you don't hear Bradley Jacobs. It's not Jeff Bezos. It's not Steve Jobs. But what he did was he founded 5 different multi-billion-dollar businesses, essentially from his kitchen table. And he did it in a period of less than 3 years for each business. His most recent is a company called XPO Logistics. It's a logistics company. And I screamed it from the top of my lungs for everybody to buy this stock whenever, in the analytics and investment, writing my book, when it was, $13. And he came over and took over the board, put a bunch of money into it and said, I'm going to make it $1 billion business. But what he does is so methodical. And he goes into industries that are massive, like trucking, garbage, like rental property. Goes into these massive industries. And then he starts to consolidate those industries through acquisitions. He consolidates the smaller pieces of it. And then he introduces some type of technology or some type of practical use that wasn't there before. And as a result, you've got 5 different multi-billion-dollar businesses grown from your kitchen table. And I believe that HADEPAY is very similar to that. No, we don't have the capital to just buy up PayPal and Square and all these different companies. But fortunately, our business model is consolidation. We consolidate all of these different businesses like PayPal and Square and Stripe all into our platform. So we piggyback their ecosystem, their networks. And then we offer innovation, the ability to manage all of the different payments from all these different places from one place, or all the customers. Or we introduce blockchain payments with fiat payments, and we introduce text message, Bitcoin payments or recurring Bitcoin payments. These are all little introductions that we've made. And therefore we have our penetration into a massive market, the consolidation, and we've introduced technology. And now there's a lot of steps along the way you have to, execute on. But that's why when people ask is, what do you see for this? Well, I see that it could become a multi-billion-dollar business just from the mere fact of scale, innovation, and what I've witnessed and what I've watched and studied my entire career.
And if anybody who is listening to this call is interested in having more choice with how they send and receive cryptocurrency, fiat currency, the HADEPAY system is something you definitely want to have a look at. Brian, if people want to see either the HADE platform or HADEPAY, where can they find you?
You can go to HADEPAY.com or you can go to HADEPlatform.com. That's the two different businesses, analytics for investment research, or HADEPAY.com for as our payments business.
That's fantastic. Look, everybody who is on the call with us today, make sure to look around the post or wherever you find it. There will be both of those URLs available to you for the HADE platform and HADEPAY. Brian, it's been an absolute treat having some time with you on the My Future Business show today.
It's been a pleasure to be here.
It's been fun having you on the call with us today, so make sure to subscribe, leave us a comment, share us with your friends, and book your spot on the show. And if you're looking to create your own professional audio or video presentations, then for more details, visit myfuturebusiness.com/shop.